Muslims. So they have a history. Judaism and Islam have a history, have a relationship between these two, which go back to the age of Muhammad, to the 7th century AD. So historically, the status of Jews under Islam is a status which is called dhimmi. What does dhimmi mean? Dhimmi means that under Muslim rule, Muhammad, when he left the Arab Peninsula and took control of all these areas of the Middle East, Mesopotamia, some of Europe, he decided that people who already believe in one God, remember that by the 7th century we already had Christianity, we already had Judaism, so he decided that people who already believe in one God, their lives can be spared. So you don't have to kill the Jews, you don't have to kill the Christians, you can let them stay and live under Muslim rule, but in return they have to accept their inferior status. So it means that they will have some kind of a local autonomy. They can keep on, for example, eating kosher food, they can keep on marrying according to Jewish law, they can bury their dead by Jewish law, but they must remember that politically speaking, Muslim lands are for the Muslims. So you cannot have, for example, a Jewish ruler in a Muslim land. Jews and Christians, by the way, are inferior in their legal and social status. Now, what does it mean? Beginning in the 7th century, you had a series of rules, which, for example, we all know the ghettos, and we know the yellow badge that was very famous later on, but this is a Muslim invention. The point was simply to make a distinction between Jews and between Muslims. Jews could not have weapons with them, and that is something which is very important. Remember, it's not the 21st century. We're talking about the 7th century, and we're talking about being insecure when you travel, for example. So the fact that Jews could not wear weapons with them was very important. Jews, for example, cannot ride horses, only donkeys, because a horse is a noble animal which only Muslims can use, etc., etc. There are a lot of rules here that the point was to make the Jews be inferior. Perhaps the most important aspect was a special tax, which was called jizya, that the Jews had to pay, with the specific condition or the specific requirement from the Muslim ruler in the Quran to humiliate the Jew when he pays it. So even by stepping on his head or doing anything which is very symbolic to make the Jews be in an inferior position. Now the question